Alrighty. Hello, everyone. My name is Bill Stamps, and I am a behavior change specialist. And for the next half hour, I'm going to be talking about the ins and outs, everything you want to know about procrastination. Procrastination. I know a lot about that because I am definitely a serial procrastinator. I've always been. I wish I wasn't, but I don't know. I remember many years ago when my father was alive. I believe it was it Father's Day or I believe it was his birthday. And so ever since I've been an adult, I've always lived in a different city. I was in the media, and so in the media, I've been working at different TV stations, and so I was always at a TV station many miles away from my parents. My parents are from California, Los Angeles, and so I was either in Seattle or Florida or Alabama. And so what I'm saying is if I was going to send a card, I'd have to get it in the mail, at least 3 or 4 days before his birthday. And that just never happens. But I remember on this particular occasion, I told myself I was going to do things differently this time. I'm going to get that card in the mail. I'm going to get that card in the mail. And days would go by. The next day, I'm like, you got to get that card in the mail if you want to get there on time. Didn't do it. Finally, it's like the day before his birthday, so now it's too late. And then I'm thinking, I can't buy him a card. It's not going to get there until next week. So I decide not to get the card. So now it's his birthday. And I just felt a little anxious calling him because I didn't have a card, and I know he didn't receive one. And so I procrastinated again. Early morning I said, okay, I'll call him. I'll call him in the next hour, or I'll call him in the next hour. And I kept putting it off because part of me, although I loved my dad, I didn't really want to call because I felt weird about not having a card or a gift. So it got to be nighttime, and I don't remember what happened. It's been many years ago, but I fell asleep. And so I never talked to my father on his birthday that year. And it was just kind of weird because then the next day, all of the kids talked to him except for me. And so I'm thinking, okay, I should call him and, say, sorry, I didn't call, and, I don't have a card, but happy belated, happy birthday. And I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And so I didn't call. And then the next day, it got even worse because now it's been 2 days and I haven't talked to him. Well, long story short, that went on for like a week. And then so by then I really felt weird, and he didn't call me. And it was just, it's hard to explain. It was just this weird feeling that I couldn't call him because there was just this weird feeling like I had messed up, and I felt really bad. I really did. I felt really guilty. I think it was like a month later before I called, and I think we just pretended like it never happened. It was probably not a big deal to him, but we just pretended like it never happened. We just talked about whatever. So don't procrastinate. That's the moral of the story. But if it was only that easy, right? So who can tell me what is procrastination? What is it? Tell me, anybody? Procrastination is the act of unnecessarily delaying or postponing a task, even when knowing that doing so may have negative consequences. So, I told you a story of what happened to me. There are behaviors that we want to eliminate, and there are behaviors that we would like to actually improve upon. And so procrastination is not necessarily something that you want to improve upon. But something like getting up early to go to the gym, you wish you could do that. Starting projects that aren't due for weeks, eating healthy. Those are all behaviors that you would like to change. And unfortunately, it's not that easy. It's not that easy to change a behavior that you've been used to doing all of your life, whether that's getting rid of a particular behavior or adding one, acting differently. Something like I just said, getting up early and going to the gym. People who haven't worked out, or people, maybe they work out, but they don't like getting up early. And so now their schedule has changed or something, and they need to start getting up early. But you can't, because you've never been that kind of person. But the question is, why not? We have free will, right? Why can't you just say, that's what I'm going to do, and do it? It's because your subconscious won't let you. And why is that? That's because of what we call your self-image. We all have a self-image. Your self-image is how you see yourself. So if you see yourself as a tough guy, you're going to act tough. You've always been that way. You've always thought of yourself as a tough guy. That's how you're going to act. You're not going to just be Mr. Wimpy. No. Vice versa, if you've always seen yourself as kind of soft, whether you wanted to or not, acting tough is going to be difficult when you want to change. Why is that? It's because of your self-image, how you see yourself. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard the saying, think outside the box? Think outside the box. What does that mean, to think outside the box? It means to think differently than you normally would, right? To think differently than you normally would. Well, did you know you can think outside the box, but you can't act outside it? Did you hear what I said? I'll say it one more time. You can think outside the box, but you can't act outside it. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, if thinking outside the box is thinking differently than you normally would, then acting outside the box would be acting differently than you normally would. Just like we just said, if you're a tough guy, you're going to always act tough. If you're kind of soft, you're probably always going to act soft. And changing is going to be hard. But the question is, why is that? We all have free will. We can do whatever we want. Why can't you just go act tough? Why not? If you're shy, why can't you just go to a party or go to a networking event and be the life of the party? Hi, hello, hi, hey, nice to meet you. Hey, why not? Why not? We've got free will. Why can't we just turn it on just like that? Sometimes you can, for a small, short period of time, but you won't be consistent, and you'll probably quit. So why is that? It's because of your subconscious. As I said, you can think outside the box, but you can't act outside it. This right here. I can't see it now. Wait. Trying to get it. It's disappearing. Where? Why is it? I gotta hold it right here. It's a cardboard box that says behavior on it. This is your behavior box. Let me see. I'm still trying to get a good shot of that. It's disappearing into the background. Wow. So you can think outside the box, but you can't act outside it. Anything that's not in your box is going to be difficult for you to do. On the other hand, if it's in your box, it's going to be easy for you to do. So what are we talking about? Procrastinating. Procrastinating. And why do you procrastinate? Because it's in your box. Procrastinating is in your box. Let's talk about this behavior box. There's two things I talk about: your behavior box and your behavior code. What is your behavior code? A behavior code is a list of instructions that controls everything you do. And I do mean everything. This code is your self-image. Remember the way you see yourself? If I ask you to describe yourself, that would be pretty simple, right? You would tell me that you're a tough guy, you're smart, or you're always on time, you're friendly, maybe you're a bit of an asshole, maybe you're a bit of a jerk, but you're this and you're that, or this and you're that. Whatever description you give me, that's the way you are going to act. And what's important to know is that it's almost impossible for you to act differently. You hear that? The description that you give me of yourself, it's going to be almost impossible for you to act differently. Your behavior code, as I said, is a list of instructions that controls everything you do and how you act. The same way a computer code runs an app, if you press a button, if I click this mouse on something on the computer, this will happen. If I click a box, something particular will happen when I click that. It's already written in the code, and it will happen every single time, guaranteed. Same thing with your behavior code. If your behavior code says you get up early, if that's in your box, that means you're the kind of person who gets up early. And getting up early will be easy for you. Not hard. You won't have to work hard. It'll be easy for you because it's in your code, your list of instructions. I'll give you another example. Your behavior code, as I said, it's a list of instructions, okay, of how you behave. A lot of you watching are parents. And I'm sure you've hired a babysitter before in the past. Or if not, maybe you babysat yourself. All right. So when you have a babysitter, and this babysitter has never babysat your child before, but even if it has, the instructions could change. What do? You give the sitter a list of instructions on what the child can and can't do and how this night is supposed to go. The instructions can change each time, but you will give that sitter a list of instructions. It could be verbal or it could be written or both on what the child can do. So for instance, the child will eat dinner at 7. It's only allowed to watch these particular shows or channels. Maybe bath time is at 8 o'clock. If that's written on those instructions, it will be followed. That babysitter will follow those instructions. So it does not matter how bad the child wants to watch this other channel. It does not matter how bad the child wants to eat ice cream. If it's not on those instructions, if the babysitter looks at those instructions and says, no, your mom says no, that's not on here. If it's not on there, it's not happening. That is the same with you and the things you would like to do or change in your life. If it's not in your behavior code, the list of instructions that controls your behavior, if it's not in that, it's not going to happen. You can try. Just like you can try to do something that's not in the instructions with the babysitter, but it's a little differently because the babysitter is definitely going to say no, and you can't do it, and the babysitter is older than the child. If you want to do something that's not in your behavior code, that's not in your box, let's say eat healthy. If eating healthy is not in your behavior code, it's not in your behavior box, you can try. But what happens? It won't last long. You'll eventually quit and give up. You will. Now, back in the 1950s, there was a broadcaster named Earl Nightingale. He did a series of albums that he made, and one of them was called The Strangest Secret. I've watched this a million times, and I've learned so much from Earl Nightingale. In The Strangest Secret, he said, "We become what we think about." We become what we think about. Nightingale also said, we all have a self-image. That's what I was talking about earlier. And that self-image controls our behavior and plays a big role in how we live and act. So I am going to play a little snippet from Mr. Nightingale. Cut number 1.
The self-image is the picture a man carries of himself, a settled sense of the kind of man he is, what he is capable of, what he deserves from the world, what the world will give him in return for his effort. Most men did not create this self-image consciously. It was built slowly over the years through experiences, failures, victories, criticism, encouragement, and the voices of the people around them. A father's words, a teacher's opinion, the way people reacted when he succeeded, the way they treated him when he failed. Some men were taught to believe in themselves. Others were taught, directly or indirectly, that they were not good enough, not smart enough, or not capable of achieving much in life.
So what did he say about the self-image? It's a picture of yourself that you carry with you all throughout your life. What did he also say? He said it wasn't created consciously. It was created by a series of things in your life experience, teachers, parents, friends. If someone constantly told you you're beautiful all your life, you become to think and believe you are beautiful. That's part of your self-image. If you've always been told that, you're shy, or you've always been told that you're not good in something, you become to believe that. That is a part of your self-image. But all of that can change. And that's what we're here to talk about. How to change this behavior, even when your subconscious, even when your behavior code says no. Now, in the bigger picture, there are two levels of behavior. There's the micro level and the macro level. So the micro level is the day-to-day things. Macro level is the big picture. So from day to day, if you see yourself as shy every day, when you go to work or when you're at the store, you're probably going to act shy. But in the big picture, let me say that again. Let's say in the big picture, you don't see yourself as a type of person who will ever be rich or who will ever make a lot of money. Well, if you don't see yourself as that type of person, it's never going to happen because you won't even try. You won't even try. Another example is there's a lot of people who believe they're going to die young. And when somebody believes that, in many cases, they actually do. So what happens when you try and do something that's not in your behavior code or that's not in your box? Because remember, you can think outside the box, but you can't act outside it. So what happens when you actually try to do that? Well, that's when your subconscious checks the list, the instructions, checks your box. Let's see, is he allowed to do that? Is he allowed to work out? Yeah, because it's in his box. If that's not in your box, your subconscious says, no, that's not happening. No, I can't allow that. Same way the sitter checks the list of instructions from the parents. If it's not on there, not happen. So, as you can see, it does not matter how bad the child wants to do something. If it's not in the code or in the instructions from the parents, it's not going to happen. So it doesn't matter how bad you want to stop drinking, how bad you would like to start working out, how bad you would like to start going to church, how bad you would like to be a different person. Maybe you want to be confident at work. Maybe you're a teacher and you want to walk in there and be the best darn teacher, talking to the kids a certain way, being assertive, and that's never been you, but you know it should be you, and so you want to change. If it's not in your code, if it's not in your behavior box, it's not going to happen. You see why? Because it's not a part of your self-image. You don't even see yourself that way yourself. So how is your subconscious going to let you do that? It's not. The subconscious has one job, to follow those instructions and to keep you safe. Just like the sitter. The sitter has one job, to follow the instructions given by the parent and make sure that child is safe when they get home. That is how your subconscious operates. So then you ask, okay, well, am I screwed? I can't change? This is how I'm going to be the rest of my life? No. So how do you change? Well, if you listen to all the top motivational speakers and gurus, they'll tell you it's strictly motivation. There are things you can do. I mean, they'll say, where was that? They'll say things like, just take one day at a time. Break it up into small steps, baby steps. One person has a 5-minute rule. Just try it for 5 minutes. We're talking about this new behavior. Just go in there and just do a little bit. I'm not saying those don't work or can't work. They can, but you're going against your self-image. You're going against your subconscious. And so when you try and do that, the subconscious is going to say, no, that's not in your box. I have one job to make sure you do this. So when you try and do something that's outside your box, your subconscious is going to fight you. How does it do that? It lies, it cheats. It does all of this in the form of negative thoughts. So when you try and do something, your subconscious is going to talk to you. You are going to hear it over and over and over and over and over. When you even think about going on a diet, your subconscious is going to start talking to you. Negative thoughts. A diet, really? Come on now. Come on. You know you're going to be fat the rest of your life. What do you want to go on a diet for? Nobody wants you. Nobody wants to date you or whatever. You know you're going to quit. You quit every single time. Yeah, maybe you'll be on this diet a week or two. Oh, maybe you'll last a month. You know you're going to quit. So that's your subconscious talking to you over and over and over. It's relentless. You've all heard these negative thoughts. You've all heard it. That's your subconscious. And it will hammer you. So when it comes to procrastination, the moment you even tell yourself, I'm going to do this earlier this year, I'm going to get this in on time, what happens? Here comes your subconscious. It's in your ear talking. It may even laugh. Oh, come on. You know you. You're not going to do this early. You're not going to get this in on time. Come on. Who are we are we joking here? Who are we kidding? You're not going to, your subconscious will not shut up sometimes. So, what's the answer? How do you get your subconscious off your back? Because that's basically what it is, whether you're talking about doing something on time or whether you're talking about something like public speaking. Because the moment you say you're going to give a speech or you hear about you're going to give a talk, that subconscious is right there in your ear. You're going to give a talk? You? You're going to give a talk? Yeah, right. Come on now. You know you get nervous. You get nervous just talking to your friends. Come on. You're going to talk in front of this big crowd? Yeah, right. You're going to stumble. You're going to sound stupid. Come on now. You're probably going to slur your words. Everybody's going to be looking at you. You might even trip walking up to the stage. Come on. Let somebody else do it. Let somebody else do the speech. Come on. That's not you. It's not you. Why? Because public speaking is not in your box. Your subconscious will lie, cheat, do everything it can to keep you from doing it and only allow you to do things that's in your box. That's why it's so difficult. So, what's the answer? Well, as I said, the self-help people, they've got all different ideas, and it's all based on motivation. I developed a method I call mind surgery, and it attacks the self-conscious and hammers it over and over again. What was I trying to say? I give the subconscious a piece of its own medicine. You want to hammer me? I'm going to hammer you right back until the subconscious relents and finally says, okay. You want to work out? Okay, I'll let you. Fine. Let's go back to the child who wants to do something and it's not on the list of instructions. It doesn't matter how much the child begs the babysitter, right? So what's the answer? It's not going to be able to do that particular behavior this time, but in the future, what's the answer? The child has to get the parent to change what's on the list of instructions, right? Same thing with your behavior change. You've got to change your behavior code. You've got to change what's in. That's still not working. You've got to change what's in your behavior box. How do you do that? Like I said, I have a method I call mind surgery. If you want to learn more about it, you can email me. You can drop me a message online, and I would love to talk to you more about that. But with mind surgery, we change what's in your behavior box. We rewrite your behavior code, and now the subconscious looks at the list, says, you want to go to church? Yeah. Oh, you want to stop drinking? Yeah, go right ahead. You want to get up early? You want to stop procrastinating? Yeah, go right ahead. It's right there on the instructions. You're free. All right? Thank you very much. Thank you very much.